Welcome to Art from the Inside 2021, Romans 13. May the God of hope fill you with all joy and peace as you trust in him, so that you may overflow with hope by the power of the Holy Spirit. Hope. What is it? A drop-in character in a sitcom such as Bold and the Beautiful? A moment of clarity upon which to hold? An unbirthed wish, dream, or concept? The concept of hope takes self-reflection and internal questioning for which I still have no solid answer. But what I have learned from the puzzle of hope is this. The word hope is of literally no origin, unknown addressed, as the accused rests with limited evidential weight, with no recorded alibis or co-accused. Hope is a mystery. The etymological history of hope is possibly a North Sea Germanic word coming from either the words hoppen or to hoffen, to hope, borrowed from the Creole of Lower German, correlating with the phrase to hop. So imagine the Viking-inspired expeditioners looking into the ocean without any maps or knowledge except old mate told me that, and that if you kind of go that way, then you might end up at some kind of paradise, thereby hopping into or leaping into expectation. It is also associated with the Greek gods Bacchus and Aphrodite through the eudaimonia, translated as perpetual happiness in social relation and or welfare in terms of community, sharing, one that enables flourishing with its prosperity and blessedness. Therefore, in a social justice concept, it transcends socially further than an inspirational quote on your social media feed. Sounds good. Yet there it is again, full of intangible representations that cannot be physically grasped or held. The Holy Spirit itself is the advocate, an invisible voice in the void and uncertainty of what the expectation of hope is, or what it might bring. What is hope? How do we hold on to something that is apparently non-existent? Do we ever really have hope? To have brings about connotations of ownership and exclusivity. Yet Gabriel Marcel, the philosopher and playwright, explored the concept of hope through this perception of ownership. We cannot have hope. To have is to own. Therefore, understanding our own relationship with hope allows us to maintain hope that is within reach. It is only once you give up all ownership of hope that you can truly claim to be able to see hope as plausible. We begin to function with it as an extension of it, an entity that dwells in it, feeds from it and regurgitates it socially, thereby becoming ourselves a creative collective that is not only filled with, but is contagious with hope. This socially explicit theory becomes one that hope is shared. It remains among us communally, and therefore never was, had, but is. This stream of thought must be actively engaged in order to remain in hope. As humans bring a part of a bigger existence unto which we cannot entirely explain or resolute with, we must remain close to this secondary thought as a daily routine in remaining with God in whatever ideal we perceive God as sitting within us. And as for prisoners, as the process of freedom that requires rehabilitation fluctuates, oscillates, plunges to the depths, and achieves only a crescendo into the highest of moments, remaining in hope is not only necessary, but can be a pivotal ingredient between a life that is or a life that is not. Art gives hope. Hope that our subconscious dreams can become a reality. Hope in prison is a daily goal. Hope that if you can just be able to finish that painting or illustrate those dreams without a cell ramp, or an incident out of your control that includes a misunderstanding officer disposing of the remnants of paint you could harvest and collect, then maybe you can get through one more day of your sentence with hope. This is where hope for prisoners becomes extreme, because once a person has been processed through the impersonal procedure necessitated by the agency for security, which labels oneself as a criminal and a prisoner forever, it is in that moment that all they have left is stripped away, and only a version of themselves remains. No matter what that self may be, it is all that remains from the persona previously adopted and adapted, and elaborate steps will be taken to protect, guard it, and maintain it. And if all of that remaining ego is stripped away without alternate guidance, then they have lost hope for remaining true to themselves. When all is lost, art can be something, and that can sometimes be the last honest expression to recreate through subconscious, autobiographical imagery what was and what can be. Don't give up on hope. There is still hope. Hope for a better future. Pablo Picasso said, "Everything you can imagine is real." When prison is in a cage and the possibility of parole itself is a glass door that can be seen but not entered, art remains a physical and true self-identity and reality. To hold hope in something intangible requires trust. Trust being the highest cost with the lowest return, most prisoners have no trust to give. Hope is described as a feeling of expectation for a particular thing to happen or occur, requiring a level of certainty in its action. It is ambitious desire, an ambition that holds expectation, a yearning to live out a long-kept dream, a craving for a wish to materialize. For prisoners serving a sentence, their hopes can become entangled in hopeless thoughts of hoping upon apocalyptic events, upon which their freedom is reinstated by means of a good old prison riot, or interventions of the supernatural, or simply just a zombie apocalypse. However complicated their focus is, to focus upon an apocalyptic type of occurrence is not far from the truth of hope itself, as the Greek word apocalypse means an unveiling of what was previously unknown, and when applied self-respectively, it leads to potential rehabilitation and personal change. It is a place of spiritual intersection, a place of revelation, and a place of renewal. Perhaps we should all hope for an apocalypse for the prisoners. And then for ex-offenders, specifically when working to assist inmates in their own rehabilitation journey. We live quite literally in the margins, and the uncertainty of making good, which generally becomes a life of isolation from the old influences. One is set apart from correctional staff from a past life stain that one can never extinguish. Therefore, remaining in hope can make the difference between remaining true to your own convictions and not giving up due to past convictions. And as we cannot take ownership and have hope, hope also becomes symbolic of the many material sacrifices and indulgences that living a life in completeness without criminogenic needs that making good evolves into. Hope is all we have. Thank you.